Now, following back-to-back 4-1 wins against Luton and Wolves to start the season, Brighton sit top of the table in the Premier League. Let's find out whether they can stay there, not literally there, with former midfielder Steve Sidwell joins us on the show. Hello, Steve. How are you?
Really well. How are you, lads? Good?
We're great, thing. How many times did you get sent off in your career?
Oh, I'm going to say 4, maybe.
I don't have the answer in front of me. I'm just curious.
Oh, right, okay.
Do you know what?
I reckon 3 or 4.
He used to smash people. And this is going back to youth team days, by the way. Not just first team, youth team.
How far do you two go back?
We used to play against each other. He was at Arsenal, I was at Ipswich, 14, 15?
Yeah. Do you know what, Ben? I was speaking to someone yesterday about your volley as well. Come up again in the conversation.
Oh, where was that again, Tidders? Just tell me where that was again.
Little dip. Was it Ipswich, Arsenal at Highbury? Little dip on the volley. Yeah.
Steve, this is your life, all right? Listen, thanks so much for coming on. We've got so much to talk to you about. But let's start off talking about Brighton. Before a ball was kicked, Bentley said in one of our meetings, you know what, they could surprise everyone and finish top 4. There weren't that many people who poo-pooed him. I was one of them. I was like, don't be so silly. Can you, not for the reason I don't think they're good enough, but I just think there'll be 4 better teams in that top 4. But so far, they're scoring goals for fun. They sit there. How do you see their season turning out?
Well, it's very early at the moment, but if you're going to say about their form from last season, they've certainly carried it into this season. Top 6, their best finish. Every time I think they've been in the Premier League, they've improved every season. So if we're talking about improving on a 6th finish last season, why not have aspirations and aims to go into a top 4? For sure, there's bigger clubs, teams that are used to it, playing in the top 4 in European football. I think the biggest test will be when they start playing in the Europa League and the whole dynamics and the whole structure and routine changes Thursday, Sunday. Have they got the squad that's capable enough to deal with that? But certainly their aspirations and as individuals, as a team and as a football club, they'll be looking for a top 6 finish or above, I assume, this season.
That's what I was going to ask you, Shidders, because you said there that's where the test is really going to come when they play Europe and then they go back to domestic league football. Do you think they've got the squad to be able to compete on both fronts?
I think they'd like to get a few more in. If you're looking at real quality in depth, I think they're missing probably 1 or 2, especially with experience as well. Certainly, we can see the production line, what Brighton produce. They've got that in abundance. Lads they've even got out on loan at the moment, and ones that are lingering, sort of in that sort of reserves and upper part of the academy, but they're not ready yet. So, you know, it's one of them. I think that'll be the test. That will definitely be the test. But it's a novelty. It's a new thing for the majority of these players. You know, it's like Bentley when you come into the Premier League for the first time, you take it by storm. When you play in Europe for the first time, you raise your game. So. Look, they've got every chance of breaking all records and creating another part of history for that football club this season.
Johnson, you're right. And when you talk about obviously they'd like to bring 1 or 2 more in. When you look at their recruitment, now Brighton's not a club that necessarily go after the biggest names. Where if a player's one of the top players in the world, they'll go after them. They do their recruitment a lot different, and we know they've got a lot of money because they've sold some players for big money. Do you think that makes them? The recruitment and then bringing players in that would necessarily fit their system a little bit easier because maybe the top teams are not necessarily looking where they're looking? Yeah.
I think a lot of teams are looking at the model now that Brighton do, and they just keep on churning players out, selling players, getting another one in, another unearthed gem. It was only 2 or 3 seasons ago that people were just crying out for them to go and buy a 40, 50 million pound striker because they created so many chances. But there wasn't a striker that was kind of there that was putting the ball away. But they was patient. They knew what they was doing. So I think the thing with Brighton at the moment is they've got a front foot forward attacking team that is getting goals from everywhere. And that's what's helping them at the moment, you know. And they'll be susceptible to a few counter attacks. But I think the style and the way that they play football certainly suits the Premier League, but I think it even more suits European football as well.
What do you put that down to? Do you put that down to great recruitment? Do you put that down to the manager getting the absolute best out of these players?
Yeah, a bit of everything. They like I said, they've got this model. They've got an itinerary, a criteria for every single position, and that person has to fit into that position within the team, regardless of the manager. We can see De Zerbi has taken the club probably to another level. but from what Graham Potter's done. So their model and their structure won't change. And the manager, I mean, look how good he is. I mean, you can see him on the touchline, how much he demands of the players. Speaking to the players themselves, they love him because it's one of them ones where they don't know where they always lie with him. It's always on the edge where I could get a real pat on the back here or I could get a kick up the backside. So, and that just keeps the players striving for more.
When you look at Brighton moving forward then, Sidders, would you say that the manager is the most important piece to this jigsaw?
I think at the moment, yes. Look, there was all eyebrows raised and questions. Could he come in and, I suppose, repeat what Graham Potter done? But he went above and beyond. He had to wait 4 or 5 games for his first win, and you could see the potential. But once he got in his stride, once he started playing, and the way that he plays, I mean, you can see now that the identity that they've got in terms of the back four, for instance, on the halfway line, they sort of take sort of liberties, don't they, with the ball? They got they want the attacking team to come to them, and they just pop it around them in triangles, get the ball wide, and then can they attack as quickly as they can? So I think if you're looking at someone that's going to be paying money at the moment that wants entertainment, Brighton for me would be the number one team in that Premier League that brings that, and that's just not this season. That was last season as well.
Steve, let me ask you, a couple of your other former clubs are doing really well. Villa, of course, we mentioned Brighton.
Yeah.
Chelsea, I think, will be there or thereabouts. I'm not quite sure how or what they'll do this season, but you'd be mad to write them off. If you were going to put a 1, 2, 3 next to those clubs, Villa, Chelsea, Brighton, not first, second and third in the Premier League, but one as in who will finish top out of those three, who will finish second, who will do the second best, and so on. Where would you put those numbers? That
is a good question.
Good luck to
I think, Joe, that's a great question, because I think Chelsea are still in this program of finding their feet. You know, things ain't going to change overnight there. If you're looking at it and we're saying on form.
Do you want to phone a friend, Steve?
I'd stick my neck out. No, because it's one of them, isn't it? Straight away, you just think Chelsea's going to finish above, higher, just because of what they've done in previous seasons, and it's Chelsea Football Club and the demands that they've got. But if you're actually looking at it factually, then the way that Brighton have performed in the last 18 months, you'd have to put them top. I would say Brighton, Chelsea, Villa.
Okay, and how many of those three do you think will make it into the top 4?
I don't see Villa making it top 4. Not yet. I just think they're just a little bit short. Again, the improvements that they made from when Gerrard left and Emery come in at 17th in the league, going to finishing in Europe, amazing strides. And again, what they've achieved in this season is phenomenal. But I think they're just a little bit short. I can see Chelsea. I actually see Chelsea not making the Champions League. Actually.
Hold on. So you think Chelsea will finish above Brighton, but neither will get top 4?
No. If we're taking the other teams into consideration, if we bring in Man City,
but what I'm saying is, you think Chelsea will finish higher than Brighton, but neither will get top 4?
No, Chelsea finish higher than Villa. Brighton will finish above them
So you think Brighton will get Champions League and Chelsea won't?
If we're saying who's going to finish higher, I would say Brighton would finish higher than Chelsea.
Okay. And will Brighton be in the top 4?
No.
Okay.
No.
Sidders, who do you think will do better in Europe, Villa or Brighton? Because do you know what it is?
Unai Emery.
That's what I was about to say.
That's massive. Yeah,
Unai Emery. That is huge. I mean, that experience of a manager. But then again, De Zerbi's been there. I still feel Brighton. Just edge it. I think the way that they play football, the way that their football suits European style as well. I can see them breaking all barriers this season, Brighton. I really can. Now, what that means in terms of progressing into a fifth place position, higher than sixth, or whether that means going past the group stages in Europe, or getting further in Europe, I really can see them breaking barriers.
Do you know what, Steve? You've been so good. What are you doing Monday?
I'm actually free Monday.
I'm going to take Bank Holiday Monday off. I think they're playing a bit of golf. Would you like to stand in for me? Benty can sit in the hot seat and you can sit alongside him.
Well, do you know what? I think Benty's asked me that for the last couple of times. I've always been on holiday. and I'm not on holiday Monday, so if there's a space and a seat, I'd love to jump in.
There's always a space for you, Sid. There's always.
Yeah. Can I just point out to people listening, we booked Steve ages ago for Monday. Right? That's not actually how it works. But Steve, you've been great this afternoon. So I, for one, will be listening in on Monday. I can't wait to see what happens when you and Benty sit next to each other. By the way, just take it easy with the Millennium Falcon, all right? It's still flying nicely, all right? So just take it easy in the ship.
Okay, no problem.
All right.
I've got you. Okay.
A real pleasure. Have a great show on Monday as well, but not too good. I want to come back.
Top man, Sidders.
All right.
Cheers now. Bye, lads.
Thanks. There you go, Steve Sidwell. It speaks a lot of sense,
Yeah,
obviously.
Yeah.
Interesting to hear his views on Villa, Chelsea and Brighton. Who do you think will finish top out of those three? He said Brighton.
Well, I've got to stand by my conviction. I put Chelsea third, so I can't just...
But you did say that Brighton will get top four.
Yeah, Brighton fourth.
So going by that, you think it's going to be Man City, Arsenal, Chelsea, Brighton?
Yeah, it's...
No?
Am I allowed to change it up? Yeah, can I do that? Chelsea, not top four.
You don't think Chelsea will get top
No.
four?
I think
Why have you changed your mind
Liverpool.
after 2 weeks?
Now, do you know what? I'm sticking with my conviction. Chelsea third. I don't know who's going to get fourth. Fourth.
So hold on, but you said Brighton will get top
No, I didn't.
four.
I said they could. Didn't I say could?
Okay, will they?
I'm not sure yet.
Okay.
When do you not play them? We play you. We play you next weekend.
Always comes down
No,
to
we
me,
play
doesn't
you next weekend at the Emirates, Sunday.
it? Is it Sunday week, is
Yeah,
it?
I'll be there.
Yeah?
Screaming, come on.
Imagine if we smashed you.
Never. You can't win away from home. Don't worry about that.
Can't win at the moment, it's a very good point.
talkSPORT Drive with Andy Goldstein. Monday to Friday afternoon from 4 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.